My name is Margaret Preston, and I've come a long way from the girl who was cast out with nothing but $200 and a dream. I remember standing on the stage of my graduation day, looking out into the audience expecting to see familiar faces. Instead, there was only emptiness. No family, no support, just a message from my mother. Your father says that since you chose your own path, you should take full responsibility for it. It was a harsh reality check, and at that moment, I knew I was on my own. My father, in his cold, distant way, had always defined success by tradition, by power, by wealth. The Preston Legacy, built on finance and investment, was something he expected me to follow, to carry on. But when I chose technology, when I chose to follow my own path in energy engineering, he didn't see it as a brave choice. He saw it as a betrayal. Standing in our cold, cavernous mansion, my father threw $200 at my feet and told me to leave. "You're no longer a Preston," he said with disdain. And in that moment, I was free. I left everything behind: the mansion, the wealth, the expectations. I had no home, no car, no bank account, nothing. But I had something that no one could take from me: a dream. I boarded a bus to San Jose, not knowing exactly where it would lead me, but trusting that I had something that could change the world. An idea for a better future powered by renewable energy. I spent days wandering through the city, looking for work, applying for anything that would help me survive, but no one would hire me. My lack of experience was a constant barrier. But I never lost faith in my vision. I worked at a cafe for a small wage, staying in a storage room above the shop. Nights were spent sketching designs for my energy storage project, refining my ideas, believing in them even when the world around me didn't. It was there that I met Neil, a lead engineer at a tech company, who saw something in me. He connected me with people who believed in what I was trying to create. Slowly, step by step, I climbed the ladder. It wasn't easy, and there were times I doubted myself, but I kept moving forward, refining my designs, learning everything I could about energy systems, and working tirelessly on my project, which I eventually named Aurora. It was a battery system that promised to revolutionize energy storage, to make solar energy more accessible and sustainable for everyone. But the road to success was long and full of challenges. I didn't just need the technology to work. I needed to prove that I could do it on my own. One breakthrough led to another. I got a chance to present my ideas at an energy conference, and the response was nothing short of extraordinary. Investors were interested. Major companies were asking for partnerships. Aurora was no longer just an idea. It was a real, tangible solution. The moment that I stepped off that stage at the conference, I realized I was no longer just the girl my father had dismissed. I had become a leader, a creator, someone who had turned a dream into reality. As Aurora grew, I found myself in meetings with some of the brightest minds in the renewable energy sector. We raised millions in funding, expanded our team, and began changing the energy landscape. But even as I reached new heights of success, there was one thing I knew I had to do. I had to face my past. The Preston Legacy, the company my father had built and once expected me to inherit, was on the verge of collapse. Preston Equity was a symbol of outdated thinking, stubbornly clinging to old ways, failing to adapt to the changing world. I had the power to decide its future, but I didn't want to destroy it out of spite. I wanted to transform it, to save it, just as I had done with my own life. I took the reins of the company, quietly acquiring enough of its shares through my connections and strategically maneuvering it into the hands of Aurora Dynamics. I didn't come to seek revenge. I came to show that you can't hold on to legacy if it's standing in the way of progress. I merged Preston Equity into the green tech ecosystem I had built with Aurora, changing everything from its business model to its management structure. I thought I would feel some sense of vindication when I signed those final documents, but I didn't. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about showing my father he was wrong. It was about closing that chapter in my life once and for all, proving that the past doesn't define who you are or where you go. It's the choices you make that matter. When I left the boardroom that day, I didn't feel victorious. I felt something deeper. It was closure, a quiet, peaceful sense that I had finally stepped into who I was meant to be. The girl who had been cast aside was now leading an empire, transforming industries and changing the future of energy. But there was still more to come. Years later, as Aurora continued to thrive, I received a letter from my father. The envelope contained two $100 bills, the same amount he had tossed at my feet when I left, and a note that read, "You are worth more than I ever knew." For the first time, he had acknowledged me, not as his daughter, but as someone who had built something of value. That moment meant more to me than any investment, any accolade, or any success. It was his quiet way of admitting that he had been wrong all those years. I knew, though, that the journey wasn't over. I had created a legacy of my own, one built on innovation, passion, and the belief that where you start doesn't determine where you end. It was never about proving anything to anyone. It was about proving to myself that with nothing but a dream and the courage to pursue it, I could change the world. Now, as CEO of Aurora, I look back at how far I've come, but I know there's always more to achieve. Our company continues to grow, revolutionizing renewable energy and changing lives along the way. But no matter how much success I achieve, I will never forget the girl who left everything behind to chase a dream. Because it was that girl who built everything that came next. And when I look at the future, I don't see limits. I see endless possibilities. A future where anyone, no matter where they start, can create something meaningful. That's the real power of innovation. And that's the legacy I'm building.